Chapter 6. Gravity Wells. The jump ended wrong. Superman felt it in his bones before the instruments screamed. Hyperspace had a rhythm he was still learning. A steady hum that turned into a specific lurch when a jump completed. This time, the lurch came too early, like hitting the brakes on black ice. On the bridge of the Corvex, every console flared red at once. Unexpected reversion, the helm officer shouted. We are not at the rendezvous point. The stars snapped into place outside the viewports, harsh and bright. The convoy ripped back into real space in a tight cluster. Transports and escorts scattered like startled fish. Report, Kara barked from the captain's chair. Coordinates? Sella's fingers flew over her console. This is a deep space coordinate, not the Celeste corridor. We have been yanked out. Interdictor, Tanis said from the tactical station. His jaw clenched. Has to be. The main view screen zoomed and clarified. Dead ahead, a massive grey shape hung against the stars. It looked like a smaller, squatter cousin of a Star Destroyer, with a chunkier hull and 4 bulbous projectors arranged around its equator. Energy glowed faintly in each of those bulbs, warping space in subtle ripples. That would do it, Superman said quietly. Imperial Interdictor Cruiser, Kara said, carries gravity well projectors that mimic a planetary mass. Any ship that tries to jump to hyperspace near it gets yanked right back out, or cannot jump at all. Meaning we are stuck, Superman said. Sella did not bother sugarcoating. Until that thing is offline, yes. The sensor tech swallowed. Multiple new contacts, he called. Vectoring in behind a convoy. The screen split to show another wedge-shaped monster sliding into view. Superman did not need the ID tag that appeared below the image. Judicator. He could feel it. A cold weight pressing against the back of his awareness. Not the ship. The presence on it. Vader. Of course, Kara muttered. Formation is broken, the sensor tech added. Transports are scattered. X-Wings trying to regroup. Open a channel to the convoy, Kara snapped. All ships, this is Corvex Actual. Emergency Protocol Vesh. Repeat, Emergency Protocol Vesh. Form on the Corvex's vector. Keep the transports behind our line. Acknowledged, came a clipped voice from one of the escorts. Rogue leader here diverting to cover transport 2. Hyperdrive solution. None, Sella said. The interdictor's wells are covering the entire area. We cannot jump without tearing the ships apart. So we knock out the wells, Tanis said. Which means getting to the interdictor, Kara said grimly, and surviving the Judicator. On the view screen, the Star Destroyer's hangar bays spewed TIE fighters like angry hornets. Squadrons of hex-winged craft fanned out, engines howling. Tow laser batteries on both Imperial ships began to track. Superman stepped closer to the viewports. Refugee transports lumbered along, still sluggish from the forced reversion. They had shields but no real teeth. If the Destroyer and Interdictor focused on them, it would be a slaughter. Options, Kara said tightly. Standard would be to throw everything we have at the Interdictor, Tanis said. X-Wing strip its shields, we hit the projectors with torpedoes. But with that Destroyer covering, we will be lucky to scratch the paint before they swat us. And we have civilian ships in the crossfire, Akbar's voice came through the long-range link. The Admiral's tone was grave. We cannot afford to treat this as a pure naval engagement. Superman watched twin green beams lance out from the Judicator. They missed a transport by a narrow margin, shields flaring. The next salvo would be closer. Our escorts cannot take that kind of sustained fire, Riken added. You have minutes before they start popping. Or seconds, Sella said under her breath. Kara stood. Tanis, coordinate with Rogue Squadron, she said. They will focus on the Interdictor's wells. Corvex will screen for the transports. Sella, feed targeting data to Wedge. What about you? Tanis asked. Kara looked at Superman. He is going outside, she said. He nodded. Do you have a plan? Kara asked. Rough outline, he said. Step 1. Do something about those gravity wells. Step 2. Keep the Destroyer busy. Step 3. Do not die. Step 4, Kara said. He gave a crooked smile. Figure out Step 4 when I get there. Kara gave a short, humorless laugh, then sobered. You are sure about this? She asked quietly. If Vader is out there, He will be focused on you. Good, Superman said. Then maybe he will look at me, and not at the transports. He moved to the airlock. Cruz scrambled out of his way. Seela intercepted him long enough to clip a small transceiver to his belt. This will tie into our tactical net, she said. Short range only, but better than nothing. Thanks, he said. The airlock cycle was quicker this time. He knew what to expect. The door opened, and space yawned. He stepped out. Again, the sudden silence. The stars, sharp and uncaring. The convoy spread out in a chaotic cluster, engines flaring as ships tried to form up under fire. TIE fighters were already streaking in. He breathed in, out of habit, even though vacuum did not care, then launched himself. Acceleration came like an old friend. He angled first toward the front, where the interdictor loomed. The 4 gravity well projectors pulsed, their edges hazy with space-time distortion. He could feel their pull tug at the hyperdrive potential around them, a strange drag in reality. Rogue Leader to Superman, a voice crackled in his ear. Glad you could join us. Glad to have you here, Wedge, Superman said. Your Admiral says we need that interdictor offline. Affirmative, Wedge said. Proton torpedoes are standing by, but we need those projectors weakened first. We cannot punch through full shielding. I will knock, Superman said. He arrowed toward the nearest projector. Turbolasers tracked in. The interdictor's crew had learned something from the Valtor incident. They did not assume he was just a blip. Batteries swiveled, lining up on the tiny human shape. The first volley hit. Bolts of bright green energy crossed his path. He plowed through them, teeth gritting. The impact burned for a second, then sank into the steady hum in his cells as his body converted energy to more strength. The force of the blasts shoved him off course, but he compensated. You are actually soaking turbo laser fire, Wedge muttered. I am going to pretend that does not break every rule I know. It tingles, Superman said. The projector filled his field of view. Up close, it was a towering bulb of reinforced durasteel, latticed with conduits. The gravity well effect made space around it feel fizzy, as if it were constantly about to decide that up was down. Superman slammed into it shoulder first. The impact rang through his bones. Metal screamed. The projector crumpled inward like tinfoil, its housing denting deep, structural supports snapping. Energy arced in wild sprays as power couplings blew. A ripple went through the region. Ships on the edge of the gravity well's influence lurched as the field flickered. 1 projector down, Sellers' voice called. 3 remaining, their well coverage just dropped by 20%. Superman pushed off the twisted wreck, turning toward the second projector. Behind him, the judicator moved. On its bridge, Vader watched the tiny speck slam into the interdictor's hull. He adapts quickly, the captain said. There was a mix of awe and dread in his voice. He is reckless, Vader said. He relies on brute strength. That is a weakness we can use. He reached out with the Force. The battlefield bloomed in his senses. Fighters, ships, lives, flickering like candles. Amid them, Superman's presence was a bright pressure, again like a stone dragging the current. Vader focused. In Superman's mind, something pounded on a door. Not literal, a surge of alien weight, a voice that was not a voice, pressing against his thoughts. You are outnumbered, he gritted his teeth, eyes narrowing as he flew. You cannot protect them all. He ignored it, angled his path, slammed into the second gravity projector. This one he hit with both fists, driving straight down. The casing shattered, shards spinning into space. Power flared, then died. The well fluttered. 2 down, Reg called. Your dance partner is not happy. Superman felt it. Vader's presence pressed harder now, like a hand on his chest. Images flickered at the edge of his vision. Metropolis in flames, the daily planet globe falling. Lois reaching out as she was pulled away by unseen hands. He snarled. Get out of my head, he growled. He was not sure if he said it out loud or not. On the judicator, Vader felt the pushback. Interesting. The man resisted, not with force, but with sheer stubbornness. The connection skidded, could not quite find purchase. Vader changed tactics. Target the lead transport, he said to the gunnery chief. Cripple its engines. Do not destroy. The chief hesitated. My lord, standard doctrine is to disable escorts first. Do it, Vader said. The guns obeyed. Green lances stabbed across the void, not at the small and nimble escorts, but at the bulky, slower refugee transport at the front of the formation. Shields flared, then collapsed under the focused barrage. One engine cluster exploded, sending debris tumbling. Inside the transport, alarms wailed. People screamed. The ship spun out of formation, smoke venting into space. Transport 1 is hit, Kara shouted over comms. Engines disabled. Hull breaches on decks 4 through 6. Superman saw it. He was halfway to the third projector. He could reach it in seconds. Take it out, then the fourth, and the interdictor's grip would be broken. The convoy could jump. They could escape. Transport 1 would not survive that long. He heard children crying through the hull, felt the heat of fires, the panic of people trapped behind sealed bulkheads. Vader's presence brushed his mind again, almost amusement. Choose. Superman stopped. For a fraction of a second, he hung between two goals. Disable the wells or go to the falling ship. His body made the choice before his mind finished the equation. He turned toward Transport 1. The airlock in the side of the transport had buckled. Emergency bulkheads were trying to seal, but twisted metal blocked their path. People were clustered in the corridors beyond, pressed against transparent internal barriers. He hit the hull like a meteor. The impact shook the transport, but it was already falling. One more jolt did not matter. He dug his fingers into the wrecked airlock frame and pulled. Metal shrieked and gave way. He widened the hole, then stood in it, bracing his body across the breach. Atmosphere walled past him into space, whipping hair and clothes around behind him, but his presence sealed most of the gap. "Heh! Everyone back!" he shouted. "Move away from the opening!" Fear-flooded faces stared at him. "Now!" he snapped. Authority in his voice broke through the panic. People stumbled back down the corridor. He risked one hand free, reaching down to grab a half-mangled emergency blast door. He hauled it up, bending it into a crude patch, pressing it into place over the hull. His fingers fused metal to metal with controlled heat fission, sealing edges as fast as he could. Automated systems chimed in, fire suppressants flooding compartments, pressure stabilizing. Transport 1, report, came Kara's voice. "We are alive," a shaken pilot replied. "Hull breach sealed, but we are dead in space. Engines are gone. We cannot jump." Superman stayed in the half-melted doorway a second longer, making sure the seal held. "Can you tow them?" he asked Kara over the tactical net. "Not in the time we have," she said. "We still have 2 functioning gravity wells on that interdictor. They are locking the sector down." Above the battlefield, Wedge's X-Wings screamed past the interdictor, torpedoes leaving trails of blue. They splashed against shields, flaring impotently. "We need those wells down now," Wedge called. "My people are getting carved up out here." Superman stepped back from the sealed breach. Inside, a young Twi'lek girl peered at him through the half-translucent metal, eyes enormous. She put a hand to the door. He matched it with his own, just for a heartbeat. Then he flew. Vader watched him leave the transport. "Predictable," the Sith Lord murmured. He chose the immediate casualties over the strategic objective. The captain glanced at him nervously. "Shall we destroy the transport now, my lord?" he asked. "No," Vader said. "Damaged prey can serve as better bait." He gestured toward the interdictor. "Signal the captain," he said. "Tell him to reinforce his remaining gravity well projectors. He is to expect a direct physical assault." On the interdictor's bridge, the captain was already barking orders when the Judicator's command came through. "Reinforce projector shielding," he snapped. "Bring point defense batteries to ready. All guns that can track that thing, do so. I want him vaporized if he comes near our wells again." Superman came near. He hit the third projector at an oblique angle, fists and shoulders slamming into reinforced plating. This time, the blast of defensive energy was stronger. Kane lanced through his muscles, sharper than before, but he rode it, absorbing what he could. The outer casing cracked. He drove his hands into the fractures and pulled, muscles straining. Bolts of contained gravity energy exploded outward in little warps that made his vision swim. 3 to go, Sella called. Coverage dropping. There are gaps big enough for small ships to slip through, but not the transports yet. The battlefield had gotten worse. TIE fighters swarmed the escorts. X-wings twisted and rolled, some breaking and spiraling away, trailing smoke. The Corvettes traded salvos with an Imperial gunship that had slipped into position. The refugee transports huddled together like a flock, shields overlapping as best they could. The Judicator's turbolasers did not even need to focus. They could rake the area and hit something. Every time Superman slowed to smash a projector, his mind supplied images of what was happening behind him. You cannot be in two places at once. Vader's mental voice was not words, exactly. More like a steady pressure on an old bruise. Clark grunted and tore the third projector free of its mount. The device spun away, spewing warped gravity in wild tides, before failing completely. The ripple shoved nearby ties off course, sending them tumbling. One crashed into the interdictor's hull, exploding. 3 wells down, Wedge said. His tone was fierce. 1 more, and we are clear. Fighters, cover Superman for his last run, Kara ordered. Give him as clean a path as you can. They did. X-wings fell in around him, wings flared. Lasers lanced out, carving a corridor through incoming ties. A-wings darted through the chaos, drawing fire. The interdictor's point defense lit up, green bolts flashing. Superman arrowed toward the last projector. On the Judicator, Vader sensed it. He extended a hand. The force surged. The last gravity well projector flared suddenly, energy spiking. The field around it warped more violently, space bending like glass under pressure. Superman hit it. For a moment, everything went white. He felt himself stretched, compressed, pulled in too many directions at once. His atoms complained. For a heartbeat, his connection to his own body went thin. Then it snapped. He punched through. The projector imploded behind him, crushed in on itself. A shockwave rolled out, not of fire, but of twisted gravity and disrupted hyperfields. It knocked fighters spinning and sent the interdictor's power grid into spasms. Alarms screamed on the cruiser. The gravity wells flickered and died. Interdictor wells are down! Sella shouted. Repeat, all gravity wells offline. Convoy, jump! Kara roared. All ships, jump now. The refugee transports did not need to be told twice. Hyperdrive motivators spun up. For a second, nothing happened. Then space, in front of them, blurred and stretched. One by one, then in clusters, the ships elongated into streaks and vanished into hyperspace. The escorts followed. The Corvettes waited until the last transport winked out, then jumped as well, leaping blindly along a pre-plotted emergency vector. Superman watched them go, hanging in space, chest heaving, though he did not need the breath. Relief washed through him, hot and sharp. He had done it. The convoy was away. He turned toward the interdictor to see what damage he had truly done. The projector housings were wrecked, the ship listing slightly, power rerouting in frantic cascades. Fires burned along parts of its hull. It was not dead, but it was crippled. He might have had time to finish it off. If the Judicator had not still been there, the destroyer had not fired at the fleeing ships with everything it had. That had been Vader's choice. He had held back, keeping enough heat on the convoy to keep Superman worried, but not enough to guarantee kills. He had saved his main batteries for now. Green energy flared. Turbo laser fire raked across where Superman hung. He crossed his arms instinctively, taking the first barrage head-on. The beams hurt. A lot. They pushed him back, heat itching under his skin. He forced himself forward, muscles bunching. More fire joined in. Point defense guns, heavy cannons, everything the Judicator could bring to bear on a single man. Superman, you have to move! Kara's voice cried over the comm. You have done your part. Get out of there. We can send a ship to pick you up on the other side. He could not hear her clearly over the roar of energy in his cells. He felt Vader's focus like a spear now. Enough cat and mouse. The interdictor's wreck gave him an idea. He spun and grabbed a chunk of ruined projector casing that floated nearby. A twisted mass of heavy metal the size of a small house. It had broken free in the last detonation. He hefted it like a discus. Then he threw. The improvised projectile streaked through space, trailing sparks and debris. It crossed the void between the interdictor and the judicator in seconds, spinning end over end. On the destroyer's bridge, alarms screamed. "Object incoming!" The sensor officer shouted. "Impact vector on dorsal hull, section 12! Shields!" The captain ordered. "Reinforce the dorsal section!" The shields flared, but they had not been expecting a physical attack of that kind. The chunk of projector smashed into them, bleeding off some energy, then punched through on sheer momentum. It hit the judicator's hull and dug in, tearing a ragged gouge across armor plates and external structures. It did not cripple the ship, but it got everyone's attention, including Vader's. The Dark Lord stood at the bridge V-port, watching the line of the impact. His respirator hissed. His cape stirred in the redirected airflow as emergency bulkheads sealed. "This is not efficient," he said. "What, my lord?" the captain asked, bewildered. "This exchange," Vader said. "He is powerful, but he does not know how to end a battle quickly. He rescues, he reacts, he does not strike the heart." He turned toward the sensor pit. "Lock tractor beams on his position," he said. "All available emitters. Do not release." "Yes, my lord," the operator stammered. Invisible fingers of energy reached out from the destroyer's belly. They grabbed at Superman, trying to wrap him in gravitic nets. He felt it. The pull was different from the interdictor's broad wells. This was focused, like a hand trying to crush his ribs. He braced and pushed, bright red cape snapping behind him. "No," he grunted. He had broken one tractor beam before. They thought this would go the same way. They had learned. More emitters joined in. Beams overlapped, reinforcing each other. Each one was weaker than the Valtor lock, but together they layered into something stronger. Vader closed his fist. Superman's forward motion slowed. He pushed harder, feet digging at nothing, muscles screaming. The stars around him wobbled under the strain of competing forces. His vision swam for a moment. Somewhere in the distance, the stars stretched as the Corvex disappeared into hyperspace. "Get out, Clark," Kara's voice echoed faintly in his ear. "Come on." He could not. The tractor field thickened, like syrup turned into concrete. Vader stepped into his meditation, reaching through the Force to the knot of energy around Superman. The contact, this time, was more direct. They were not sharing minds. Not exactly. But for a second, their awareness brushed. Superman saw flashes. A boy on a desert world, staring at twin suns. A young man in Jedi robes. Flames. A volcanic shore. A burning figure screaming. A hand reaching up, saying "I hate you." A mask lowering onto a ruined face. Vader saw different things. A boy running through cornfields under a single bright sun. A farmhouse. A pair of loving humans holding a small shipwrecked child. A city of towering glass. A man in glasses, hiding under an ordinary life. A cape on a rooftop, watching. The connection snapped. Superman's stomach lurched. "That was not yours to see," he snarled. "Nor yours," Vader said aloud on his bridge. His grip tightened. The tractor beams finally pinned Superman fully, freezing him in space. His body trembled under the unnatural restraint. He had broken free once before, but that had been one ship, one set of emitters. Here, Vader was deliberately layering the field, guiding it with the Force, turning it from a mechanical snare into a quasi-mystical one. "You could escape," Vader's presence pressed against him again. "You have the power to flee. Oh, to go find your own world. Instead, you stay. You risk yourself for people who are nothing to you." "They are not nothing," Superman ground out. "Strangers," Vader said. "Rebels. Outlaws. You owe them nothing." Superman thought of the Twi'lek girl in the transport, of Halden and Arix, of Kara, Luke, Mon Mothma. "I owe them the same thing I owe everyone," he said. "My best." He strained, muscles bunched. The beams flickered for a second. Vader felt it. Impressive. He adjusted his stance, letting the Force flow through his outstretched hand, reinforcing the tractor field in a more subtle pattern. Instead of pulling directly against Superman's movement, he shifted the vectors, making any attempt to move become a force against Superman's own body. The harder he pushed, the more he would hurt himself. "I see now," Vader said softly. "Your strength is also your cage." The captain watched, not understanding the metaphysical layer, but seeing results. "We have him," he breathed. "Increase power, slowly," Vader said. "Do not crush him, not yet." Superman felt pressure ratchet up. Bones that had shrugged off artillery began to feel heavy. Not breaking, but not happy either. His breath came in short bursts now, not from lack of oxygen, but from the strain. In his ear, the tactical channel was mostly static. The convoy was gone. The Corvex was gone. Only faint, long-range chatter remained. He was alone. For a moment, the thought of phasing his atoms and slipping between the tractor field's lines occurred to him, a theoretical extrapolation of how his powers interacted with gravity. But he was in an unfamiliar field, guided by a mind that understood the medium. Experimenting recklessly here could make things worse. He stopped struggling. Vader cocked his head slightly, sensing the shift. "You surrender," he said. Superman panted, then let his breathing slow deliberately. "I stop wasting energy on a tug-of-war I cannot win," he said. "That is not the same thing." "Semantics," Vader said. "You are in my grasp. Your transports fled. You chose them over your own escape. Now you have nothing." Superman thought of Earth, of Lois, of the fact that he was, for the moment, a captive in a galaxy ruled by a man who blew up planets for leverage. "Nothing is not quite accurate," he said. The destroyer turned slowly, bringing its hangar bays into alignment. "Bring him in," Vader said. Tractor beams adjusted vector, pulling Superman toward the looming belly of the Judicator. The black maw of the main hangar grew larger, ringed with blue atmospheric field shimmer. He did not fight it. As he was drawn in, he looked back over his shoulder. The interdictor drifted, wounded but alive. Beyond it, the stars where the convoy had jumped were empty. He smiled, just a little. "They got away," he said. Vader heard the words through more than just senses. He tasted the satisfaction under them. "And now we begin," the Dark Lord murmured. The hangar swallowed Superman. Atmosphere rushed around him as he crossed the energy field. His boots hit the deck with a heavy clank. The tractor beams released, but the internal gravity caught him. He straightened slowly. Hundreds of blaster muzzles pointed at him. Stormtroopers lined the catwalks and floor in tight formation. AT-ST walkers crouched in the back, cannons angled forward. The hangar's control decks were full of officers watching in a mix of fascination and terror. At the far end of the hangar, near the main blast doors, a black-clad figure detached itself from the shadows and walked forward with deliberate, measured steps. Darth Vader stopped a dozen meters away. Up close, the mechanical breathing was louder, the armor taller, the mask more like a skull and less like a stylized helmet. They regarded each other in the harsh hangar light. "You are smaller than I expected," Superman said. "You are more foolish than I hoped," Vader replied. Superman rolled his shoulders, feeling residual ache from the tractor field. "Foolish for saving a fleet of refugees instead of myself?" he asked. "For letting yourself be taken," Vader said. "A strategic asset, traded for nameless lives." "The Emperor will find your priorities amusing." "I am not yours," Superman said. "Or his." Vader tilted his head. "That remains to be seen," he said. He ignited his lightsaber. Red light bathed the hangar in a bloody glow. The hum vibrated in Superman's chest. Around them, stormtroopers held their fire, awaiting an order. Superman's cape rustled in the recycled air. He had faced gods, monsters, men in powered armor, beings who could crack planets with a thought. A man in a mask with a red sword should not have been as unsettling as Darkseid. Yet, the weight of Vader's presence, the knowledge of what he had done, what he was capable of, the empire he represented, all pressed in. Superman smiled anyway. "You will find I am hard to leash," he said. "We will see," Vader replied. The first clash between the Man of Steel and the Dark Lord of the Sith was about to begin. And, in that moment, out among the stars, far beyond either of them, a yellow sun continued to burn in a sky where a different world still waited for its missing guardian.